Welcome to the Big Me Kickoff. It is January 29th, and I am your host, Kevin Noon. Monday. I promised you I would start doing this show 3 days a week, and here we are. And part of that is by contributions by our friends over at No Naturals, and we will give them their read here in a minute. But I will put a little information about them in the scroll, and you can get all the information in the show notes so you can check out No Naturals, who have been very friendly to this show and are presenting sponsors. And we're hoping it's the beginning of a long and fruitful partnership between the two groups. But we will get into that read here in a minute. We had AFC NFC championship games over the weekend. We certainly had an Ohio State basketball game as well, and news at Michigan. Those are going to be the topics that we're talking about here in this recorded show. Not looking to do a long one here, but I sometimes start talking and don't know how to shut up, and that's where we end up at. But now let's get the read out of the way. And I say I'm going to cut this thing down, and I haven't yet, so bear with me here. But are you ready for an entirely different edible experience? Welcome to No Naturals, where we're shattering the stereotypes of one note, slow acting gummies. Forget waiting over an hour to feel the effects. Our gummies are like a sprinter out of the blocks, fast acting in just 15 to 30 minutes. Picture this: you're not just choosing a flavor, you're choosing your vibe. With 5 core experiences and 6 custom combos, you're in full control. Whether it's energy and focus without the crash, a peaceful slumber that lasts all night, or a game changing burst of bliss and euphoria, these edibles are the real deal. And the best part, you don't need a doctor's recommendation. No Natural gummies are dispensary quality and discreetly delivered right to your door. So whether you're craving a productivity boost, a good night's sleep, or some blissful euphoria, say hello to No Naturals. Try them today and use code HUDDLE10 for 10% off your order at shopnonaturals.com. Know your edibles, know your experience, No Naturals. So there you go. I'm adding one more thing to my notes here, just so I know what we're talking about. Again, I've used No Naturals. I do enjoy them. I think that I used the Bliss ones before, and certainly, it was a good experience, and I highly recommend it. Talking about taking this 180, not a great experience. Ohio State men's basketball. It's January, and we know what that means. It means it's time for the annual January swoon for this team. Ohio State comes out, starts the year 12-2, and of those 2 losses, I know for sure one of them was very winnable. I don't remember the second one off the top of my head. And then January strikes, and Ohio State just can't get it done. Gets blown out by 25 at Northwestern. Schedule isn't necessarily getting any easier. The conference is a grinder. I watched some of Purdue Rutgers yesterday on Sunday, and Rutgers had every opportunity to come and steal that game at the rack at home. So it goes to show how difficult it is to win on the road if you're Purdue, or just win a game, period. But, at some point, decisions are going to have to be made, and I'm not the person that, if I'm on a flight and I feel that the pilot is, if things are a little bumpy, I'm not going to sit there and go knock on the cockpit door and say, do better mid-flight. I'm going to wait until we're on the ground, and then I'm going to sit there and be like, whoa, everything okay there, bud? So I'm not generally one to make a lot of proclamations, things of that nature, during the course of the regular season. Basketball's a game of runs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we've seen this movie before, multiple years. Now, coaching doesn't necessarily come out and say, take a bunch of bad threes or miss a lot of good open threes. That's an issue. Coaching doesn't necessarily say, let's run a stagnant offense and be sloppy in the transition game. It doesn't say miss a key free throw when you're an 85% free throw shooter down the stretch on the front end of a 1-and-1. All of these things add up after a while. And while it's not the coach or the assistant coaches that are out there missing these plays, missing these opportunities, at some point, the buck has got to stop somewhere. And I want to give a shout out to Adam Jardy of the Columbus Dispatch, who made the trip to Evanston to see Ohio State. And he did get some news with where the status of basketball is at this point. And Gene Smith, who is retiring at the end of the academic year, not at the end of the basketball season, will wait for the end of the season before, kind of assessing where things are. That was all part of Adam's exclusive report. So I don't want to not give credit to who got this information. And let's also not forget that Ross Bjork officially comes on at Ohio State in a capacity, I believe, March 1 as an advisor until he becomes the full-blown AD in July, like July 1, I think. So there will obviously be considerations made by both. And we talk oftentimes about how if the AD, if it's a new AD and you're not his guy or his gal, that you're always feeling maybe a little bit of added pressure. Well, Holtman is not Bjork's hire. He was not Bjork's hire. So, yeah, I wonder what's coming there. But again, check out here on the channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Tom and Tony did a solid show on talking about basketball, but I wanted to talk about it briefly because I go solo on this show more often than not. We will have guests eventually. I just have gotten to the point of where I like doing the solo show. So that's where we stand. But what are your thoughts there? I mean, I asked that kind of knowing what we're going to get. Ohio State fans are pissed. They're not happy. It's been several years since Ohio State has really been competitive at the end of the year. Ohio State at the beginning of the Holtman era made it into the tournament, would lose in the round of 32, and people were upset about that. Even though Ohio State ran into Houston one year and Gonzaga the other year. I believe it was Gonzaga. I can't even remember for sure. I'm pretty sure it was Gonzaga. I know I went to both of those. One of them I was in Tulsa, and one of them I was in Boise. And it's not that the team lacks talent, and it's not that Ohio State runs a system that doesn't attract talent, but Ohio State always seems to be undersized. Greg Oden's not walking through that door. He's probably having to duck, but he's not walking through that door. And they've had a lot of fours trying to play five, and they've had some threes trying to play four. And while I am a big supporter of Felix Sakpara, I think that there's still a lot to unlock there. It is not unlocked. And I think Zed Key, in losing some of that weight, has lost a little bit of his presence down low. So Ohio State has to rely on shooters. And we've talked a lot through the years about Ohio State living and dying with its shooters, and that's where it is right now, and it's been dying as of late. But enough about that. Enough about that. We've gone 7 minutes on that. Thank you for indulging me and letting me talk about that. This is primarily a football show. And talking about football, what were your thoughts on the AFC and the NFC championship games, plural? I, for one, was not necessarily looking forward to either game. Had no rooting interest in any of the four. But then again, if don't be one of those people who's like, well, this is my fifth favorite team and this is my eighth favorite team. You should have a favorite team and then a bunch of teams you don't like. Well, my favorite team made the playoffs and got dumped in the first weekend, the only upset of the first weekend of football. So hooray me. But you have the Ravens, who were the former Browns, who Art Modell moved in the middle of the night and everything else. So there's a lot of hatred there. I'm not a Browns guy. I'm not a Browns hater. I'm not a Browns fan, but I'm not a Browns hater. They exist. And out of solidarity for my peeps, I don't like the Ravens. And of course, you can be like, "Oh, and Jim Harbaugh, I don't care," or John Harbaugh, I don't care about that aspect of it as much. I just don't like that team because of that. Then you have the Chiefs, or should I say the Swifts. And I think a lot of us were already feeling fatigue of that team prior to the Taylor Swift infusion of everything Kansas City Chiefs. You can't turn on TV without Pat Mahomes being in a commercial. That's fine. Chase that dollar. I don't have a problem with it. I watched that quarterback series on Netflix, and I actually came out of it liking Pat Mahomes. Well, I haven't. I watched that before the start of the season. I'm now don't like him again because he's really good. It's not. I don't think he's not a great quarterback, and it's not that I think that he's a jerk. But I'm just tired of him. And then we have the whole Taylor Swift crap and having to listen over and over and over again. Well, she's got to do a concert in Japan the night before. Will she make it for the Super Bowl? Who cares? Who cares? Well, she doesn't want to be a distraction. Guess what? Then she could watch the game on TV somewhere. She doesn't have to necessarily go to every single game. And I got into this with a friend of mine on Facebook last night. And it's like, okay, so you're getting the tween audience, and Taylor Swift's been around long enough that a lot of these tweens are through their teens and in their 20s, and you certainly have a strong group, and that's not a fan base that you're going to be able to count on. They may watch the game just because their girl is going to be shown multiple times. But the second that pair breaks up, and spoiler alert, she is a serial dumper dumpy. They're all going to click, turn the damn knob off, and that'll be that. And maybe you've made a couple merchandising bucks along the way, but you're not gaining any new fans. Now the point has been made. Well, and as much as the core fans hate it, they're not going anywhere. I'm less enthused about the game because especially a game that the Chiefs are playing in because I don't want to be beaten over the head with this crap. I don't care. It's more, no, I do care. I dislike it. I vehemently dislike it. I do not like it at all. And the thing is, and I said this to my friend last night. I said, if Travis Kelce was dating Gwen Stefani or Billie Eilish or Lizzo or whoever, I'm trying to hit people from different musical genres and everything else. If any of that, or I don't know any country singers, and I'll probably name someone that's like 60 because I don't listen to country. My wife does. We wouldn't be getting destroyed with it the way that we are here. And every level is culpable here. NFL social media has not shied away from it. The networks certainly haven't shied away from it. It's everywhere. So there was a moment where we saw one of many cutaways of Taylor Swift during the game, and she looks up and she notices in the suite that she's on TV. She's like, "Please stop. You're there at the damn game. Don't act like you're not enjoying this publicity. Don't act like this is not big for you." So it's so fake and it's so false and it's such crap. I'm indifferent toward her music. Whatever. Not my type of music. People are like, well, would you change a channel if her music came on? My channels would never be on it in the first place. It's not what I listen to. It's not what I like. I don't dislike it. I'm not like, oh my God, this is horrible. I would click. I mean, but I don't care for it. It's not what I like. And I don't have daughters, so I don't, I'm not being thrust into listening to it or anything like that. But getting off that soapbox, Baltimore really kind of screwed the pooch at some points of that game. Travis Kelsey had a huge game. Um, Lamar Jackson had a couple of, oh wow moments and a couple of, oh no moments in that game. I know a lot of people, myself included, beer enhanced, were very critical of the officiating. Cooler heads prevailing. I mean, it's a human thing. It's a human thing that you're going to have bang bang calls and things of that nature. It was kind of telling though at one point where Gene Steratore basically was already talking about something prior to anything really being said about it. And I mean, and then there was another point where he was like, no, no, no. Oh, well, yeah, I guess there was probably pass interference there. Kansas City played the better game. Kansas City deserved to win the game. I guess I was pulling for Baltimore only because I want to be able to enjoy the Super Bowl. And I know that NBC or CBS, it's on CBS because people bitching and moaning about Tony Romo. Um, they're going to be just horrible about it. And wherever, I don't know if the Grammys are prior or post, it's gonna be gross. It's gonna be gross. I bet you on Paramount Plus there's probably gonna be a Taylor cam or it's awful. Enough on that one. Let's get to the other game. And then that was the Niners and the Lions. And being a SoCal native, being from Southern California, there's no love in my heart for Northern California teams, period. But being a Dallas Cowboys fan, there's even less love for the Niners in my heart. Yet I was pulling for the Niners. Why? Because I was not going to pull for the Lions. Oh, but Kevin, they're just the lovable losers. They haven't done anything since the merger. Okay. Go on social media and tell me if all of the biggest people championing the Wolverines, who they root for in the NFL, it's the Lions. Do you think I want them to have the best year of their life? Hell no. I almost dropped an F bomb there. But we're not being monitored by the FCC. That's okay, but still trying to keep it family friendly. I don't care. What about Dan Campbell's decisions to go for it twice, leaving 6 points essentially on the field? I mean, nothing is automatic, even though, gee, many Christmas, professional kickers are so good. They're so good. You're just shocked when a kick gets missed. And San Francisco did miss one, but you get so shocked. I would be happy to have Dan Campbell as my head coach. I would. I didn't like the decisions in the moment. Still not sure if I do like those decisions right now. But damn it, he is willing to get out there and roll the dice and play the game and be aggressive. And he is like the guy that you would sit there at the bar with and drinking beer and eating wings. And you're watching the game and you're like, oh, our coach is terrible. Why won't he go for it? Grow some you know what's. He's that guy. He is that guy. And I applaud him for that. Now, what is that success rate going to be moving forward? I don't know. But it's an exciting brand of football. But I just could not root for the Lions. And I had somebody reach out to me on social. It's like, I really see no equation of where rooting for the Lions is rooting for the Wolverines. I'm like, well, you have your math and I have mine. I mean, I see it very similar. And then, it's more so than if, I mean, I don't know. Commanders fans are not necessarily going to be Maryland Terrapins fans. And I'm just picking on Maryland there. Uh, you know, Houston Texans fans are not going to be Houston Cougar fans on the whole. That's just not how it is. But there is a much more direct correlation between Michigan and the Lions. And just to show that I don't pick and choose winners and losers here. Who's the NHL team I hate the most? The Red Wings. Who's the NBA team I hate the most? Well, that would be the Celtics, but then the Pistons would be number 2. I mean, I just don't care. I mean, in the Tigers, I don't care. I mean, I don't. I watch NL baseball. I don't care. So, I guess out of everything that they win with just indifference. But credit to Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, for getting it together in the second half of the game. They scored a bunch of points, and Detroit just could not find a way to stop them. Brandon Ayuk with a hell of a catch. I mean, it was exciting, and I got to watch that game at the local watering hole a mile from my house. And I'm having a hard time finding a path where I think the Niners win. And I think the Niners, aren't they a 2-point favorite? Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think they're a 2-point favorite. And I just think that the Chiefs have made some sort of deal with the devil as of late, and they're just. I mean, I just am having a hard time. I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole in terms of wagering. I may bet a couple of prop bets, but I don't think I'm going to bet on the outcome of the game because even if I win, in terms of the Niners win, I haven't won anything. I'm not really that excited, and if I bet on the Niners and the Chiefs win, then I'm really pissed. And if I bet on the Chiefs and the Chiefs win, all right, I've made a couple of bucks, but I'm still pissed. Talk about being pissed. Michigan fans are pissed, and it has nothing to do with the Lions. It now has to do with the exodus that has continued in Ann Arbor with the departure of Jim Harbaugh to the LA Chargers. I think everybody knew that Jay was going to leave. I think everybody knew that Jesse Minter was going to leave. But then it was announced today that the Michigan strength coach is leaving as well. And as it was put in social media, mid-lift, they're doing their winter conditioning and oh, can you spot me? Sure. I'm leaving for LA. So that was kind of funny. That was kind of funny. Now Michigan will promote from within. It sounds like there's going to be, that opportunity there for that. So it's not like they're going to completely get away from themselves. But then again, we know what internal promotions often mean. Yeah, you have all the same systems in place, but you don't have the same personnel, and it doesn't always work out. And that very well could be the case with Sharon Moore as head coach. So, I don't know there, but the Michigan fans, some, and again, when I single out some fans, I'm talking about what I see on socials or message boards. The vast majority of people are probably not going out there throwing their opinions out there for all to read. So I'm talking about a percentage, but there is a percentage that is starting to MF Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has to look out for Jim Harbaugh. And if Jim Harbaugh feels his best opportunity, here I am, strange bedfellows, defending Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to wash my mouth out with acid when I'm done with this. If Jim Harbaugh feels that the best chance he has to fulfill his NFL dreams is with Jesse Minter and Jay Harbaugh and the strength coach and whoever else, then he's going to do that. Thanks for all the fish. It's great that, he was, for him, not for Ohio State fans, not for the vast majority of people watching this show, but he accomplished his goals up there. Whether or not those included cheating, we'll figure out here in the wash. But now he's on to his new set of goals. That loyalty to his previous employer is minimal. Now he's just an alum. There. He's not concerned about that. He's got to be concerned about filling out his staff and getting the Chargers over the hump. The Chargers have shown moments of life, have shown moments of ineptitude. He's got to sit there and, by whatever means, raise this team to the next level. And that's what that's going to entail. And I keep hearing these same Michigan fans talking about keep going back to the Ravens tree. Well, if Mike McDonald, who's now being looked at by Seattle and some other places, if he wants to go somewhere else, I mean, first of all, John Harbaugh's not sending him back to Michigan. Second of all, sure, they may have some like assistant or whatever that they could have, but he's going to have to probably reshape his things if he loses that guy. And thirdly, Jim Harbaugh isn't at Michigan any longer. He's not taking care of the family anymore by putting people at Michigan. John Harbaugh went to Miami of Ohio. It doesn't change the fact that his dad was a coach at Michigan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not like there's no ties to the university anymore. But, about blood being thicker than water and everything else, well, that blood is going to the West Coast now. So there's no reason, honestly, for John Harbaugh to inconvenience himself to make sure that things are all well at Michigan. So it's going to be an interesting season. We'll talk about an old coworker of mine briefly, Mike Farrell, who now has his own website, and he does his fact or fiction. And he was talking about the Michigan 2024 season. He came to the same conclusion I did. Probably like an 8-14. Like an 8-14. It's going to be a very real thud for them when they come to some realizations. I was wondering what the heck the cat was staring at in the background. Oh, my last note here on the show. Again, thanks for watching the Big Me Kickoff. Carter Lowe commits to Ohio State. Big time 25 offensive tackle out of Toledo, Whitmer High School up there. Mark and I went. You can check out all of that here at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Huge get for Ohio State. The first piece of their offensive line class. I don't trust that cat. I think it is, I think it is. Mark said that, we don't throw the term must get out all that often, but this was kind of a must get. If he leaves, whether or not he goes to Michigan, I mean, that would be worse, having to face him for 3 years or 4 years. But, him leaving would have been a huge slap in the face of Ohio State's recruiting efforts. So, I think that this was a big get. He's already got a great relationship with quarterback commit Tavian St. Clair. He's going to be working on some of the same Ohio kids, Trey McNutt, Justin Hill. Big get there. But we're closing in here on 30 minutes. Of course, I went 15 minutes longer than I planned because I start talking and I don't know how to shut up. But once again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to check out No Naturals. Use code HUDDLE10, making sure that's a code. Yes, HUDDLE10 for 10% off your order. All the notes are down in the show notes to check them out. We'll probably come back and do another recorded show on Wednesday and then go live on Friday. But as news happens, it can change the schedule. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode of the Big Me Kickoff, Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning, Buckeye Weekly Podcasts, the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, all of our great content here at Buckeye Huddle. But until next time, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you very soon.